Hey there, this is Mike Tanner and Austin Cassidy. Welcome to our very first podcast. I am the co-founder of Tanner Realty Group. Austin has been with Tanner Realty Group for about coming up on a year. Really, it was in July, so probably about 6-7 months or so. He's taken on a ton of responsibility in that time and done a great job, so I wanted to have him on here with us as well. The objective of this podcast is to basically have a client-facing tool to where you can come for interest rate resources, what's going on in the market, how to get your offers accepted, basically all things real estate. So that's really what we're going to be talking about over the course of this entire podcast. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us, mike@tannerrealtygroup.com, and we can definitely put those on future episodes. So, Austin, why don't you get started off talking about kind of the state of the market?
Yeah, here in Clark County in Southwest Washington, we're still in a low inventory environment. And what we see is that 75% of our inventory that's on the market is already locked up pending. That's a really high number, really. That means only 25% of active listings are available for home buyers and our buyer pool. That's not enough. If we look at the number of homes that we have in inventory, it's only about a month and a third. That means if we don't have any more homes come on the market, we're going to be out of homes in less than 2 months. In Clark County, our average price point is right at $567,000. And average time on market's 50 days, and that includes our 30-day under contract timeline.
So if I'm a buyer looking at that, that's pretty frustrating.
Yeah, definitely. It can be frustrating looking in a tight inventory market, and that's why it's so important to have an agent who's watching the market every day. So as soon as a home within your parameters that you're looking, whether it's your price point, the size, the beds, baths, exactly what you're looking for, you want to be able to jump on that right away, get in the home, get a showing, and if it's the right home, make an offer.
You know, the interesting thing, we talk about what a nightmare this lack of inventory is for buyers, but for sellers, their main concern is, okay, once I sell, if I'm trying to downsize, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Where am I going to live? And so what would you say to somebody that says, okay, yes, I'd love to sell. I'd love to realize all this equity I've got in my place currently that I've lived in for 15, 20 years, but I got nowhere to go. There's just nothing on market. What do you recommend?
Yeah, because of the inventory shortage, obviously to get more inventory on the market, we either need to build more homes or have sellers list their homes. But that is a big issue sellers are running into. Where am I going to go? And what I'm suggesting now, because of the state of the market, buyers are more flexible with their offers. You can ask for, say, a 30-day rent back. That allows the seller to have more time for the right inventory to come on, so they can find a home to move into. There's a lot of creative options we can get into, but because of our interest rate scenario, which we'll get into in a little bit, if someone's looking to sell and then buy another house, now's the time.
I agree. I definitely agree, and I think it's a great idea. For those of you that are not familiar with rent back, it basically is an occupancy after closing to where the buyer and seller agree that the seller has to be out at some time in the future after closing, whether that be 1 month, 45 days. Lenders typically don't let you go any more than 60 days after closing for seller occupancy because they want their buyers in there, obviously, because technically the seller becomes a tenant after closing. And so that can be kind of a weird feeling, but at the same time, it also allows for that time to search for a different place, which is really pretty cool. You mentioned interest rates. Talk to me about what's going on in the interest rate market right now.
Yeah, so currently our interest rates for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage are hovering around 3.5% to 3.75%. And by the end of the year, the Fed has made it pretty clear that they're looking to make multiple increase rate hikes here in the near future, anywhere from 0.5% to more than 1%. through the end of 2022. And that can make a big difference in our buyer pool. It knocks out a lot of low-income, first-time home buyers, a lot of just kind of assistance programs, but it also affects payments pretty big time.
You know, we ran some numbers on two areas that are kind of near and dear to my heart. I grew up in Beaverton, Oregon, and I've lived in Camas for about 20 years. We ran numbers to see what the comparison was, what those interest rates really do to your payments. And in Beaverton, December 2021 compared to right now, February 22, your payment would actually go up $105 per month. Now, for people that are kind of on the bubble, on average there, $105 is a little bit of cash. And in Camas, it actually went up $125 a month. So again, you know, if you are looking to buy right now, don't wait, because that's essentially in 1 month, the end of December to the beginning of February, payment went up over $100. You can imagine over the course of a year, if that interest rate tracks and keeps going, that's an additional $1,200 a month. Now, I don't think it's going to go that steep. However, it could with what the Fed's talking about. Mm-hmm. And some people say, hey, you know, I'm going to go ahead and rent instead. Well, what does that do to rents? It jacks everything up. It doesn't just impact homeowners and buyers and sellers. It impacts people that are renting, because if you've got a duplex, we've got clients right now that are shopping for duplexes, they have to make a little bit of money on that investment, and they're not going to go in the hole for it. That's going to be on the backs of the tenants and the renters that they've got. So everybody's really impacted by this, not just people wanting to be involved in the housing market or currently involved in the housing market.
Yeah, and to put some clear numbers for the listeners here, a $300,000 fixed rate mortgage over 30 years would cost you, just for the mortgage, that's without property taxes, insurance, all of that, would be about $1,389 a month at 3 and 3.75%. But if rates rise just to 4.5%, the borrower would be paying $131 a month extra. That's $1,572 each year, and $47,000 over the loan's lifetime. And that's a significant number.
I can think of a lot better things to do with that money.
I could as well. And that's only 0.75%.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've already seen that raise from the bottom interest rates during the bottom of the pandemic there.
Yep. How has COVID impacted showings for you? You've worked with a lot of buyers over the course of the last 6-7 months. What have you seen? What's COVID done to those buyers' experiences?
Yeah, it makes, for my clients specifically, it's made the buying experience quite a bit different. A little less hands-on, more communication through technology, whether it's email, phone calls, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever it may be. And we're more selective with our showings. Also knowing where the market's at with our buying inventory. We're going into homes that we know if this is the house, we're putting an offer. And so it's made the process a little more selective than just going on large showing tours where we're looking at 10 houses in a day. It's looking at 1, 2, maybe 3 homes, and just getting everything kind of lined up that way. And it makes it more specific and kind of more goal oriented rather than shopping around.
Oh, that makes total sense. How about for sellers? What have you seen there? You've done several listings. What are you seeing as far as sellers getting impacted by COVID?
Yeah, obviously we've had this huge gain of equity throughout the nation, really, because of the housing market, interest rates going low, buyer demand staying super high. And actually, a fact here, the Fannie Mae Home Purchase Sentiment Index found that 76% of those surveyed said the present is a good time to sell. And I can't really argue with that.
No, absolutely not.
And it goes on to say that just 26% said it's a good time to buy. And a year ago, 52% were saying it's a good time to buy. Well, I think with the interest rates, the kind of hikes that are coming, still maybe it's a better time to buy than that number says. But back to the sellers, it's a good market for sellers. They're able to get the price that they want, highest market value. However, if it's overpriced, that home is still going to sit on the market. Just because you want a price, the seller wants a price, doesn't mean the market's going to give it to them. But appropriately priced homes are still going really quick and with great terms. So the seller's still in control.
To go back to the two areas I mentioned earlier, Beaverton and Camas, in Beaverton, if homes are priced appropriately, they're going for just over asking, 2.5% over asking, and they're going in just under 50 days, and that includes the closing time. And then in Camas, they're going 0.8% over asking. So I think we're starting to see the days of outrageous offers way over asking starting to go away. I think sellers are a little nervous. We've seen a few low appraisals here and there. I think the market is not necessarily starting to cool off because things are still working in our favor with still historically low interest rates and low inventory. However, I don't think we're going to see the runaway pricing like we saw a year ago.
Yeah, and Mike, would you explain how the pricing of the home affects maybe how much over the seller can expect, or if they can even get over?
Oh, absolutely. For me, it all goes back to the comps. It all goes back to the comparables of what's sold in the area. And if you line up with that, price per square foot is always what people talk about. But if you line up with that and have that as your starting point, then you can kind of price in some of the features. Maybe you've got a built-in hot tub in the backyard. Maybe you've got an indoor pool. Whatever that is, that's going to add to the value if your home has those unique features. And you may be in a gated area. That's going to kick you up a few notches as well. And so you need an agent to basically price that house appropriately, because if you just throw it on and shoot for the moon, buyers are fed up with that crap. They are not willing, as is seen by the numbers, to go dramatically over. They're just going to throw up their hands and say, hey, screw you, I'm going to wait it out. And in the long run, they're probably right, because as we've seen, every market is cyclical. Yes, our current market is decelerating. It's not accumulating as fast in equity as we've seen in pricing. However, the markets are cyclical. It's going to come down at some point, just nobody knows when that is. The inventory is still so low, I think that day is a long, long, long way off, simply because it goes back to supply and demand. The fewer houses on the market, the more money those are going to bring.
Yeah, and if you look at our market as a bell curve as well, one thing that I've noticed is we're starting to see a deceleration faster in these upper price points, million and above, 2 million and above, where here with our market stats, they're generally going for under list price.
Yep.
By a few percentage. So for someone that is a seller who has a home look in that price point, maybe above, how can they stay competitive in this market but still take advantage of our buyer pool before interest rates head up?
Pricing. It all goes back to pricing, because if that buyer sees a number that's in line with other like properties, they are going, as long as they're ready, willing, and able to purchase a home, they are going to be much more inclined to give the seller almost what they want. Really, especially in like over $2 million houses in our area, they're going for 96% of asking. Several years ago, that was unheard of. Right now, that's only 4% under asking. So it all goes back to pricing the house appropriately. That's what selling a house is all about. I mean, don't get me wrong, we can market a house like crazy. We can do a phenomenal job and get the word out. and we'll market on YouTube, on Facebook, we'll market everywhere, of course, and then all the RMLS stuff, all the normal stuff that we do. However, if a house price is not appropriate, people simply will not look at it. It doesn't matter how many people see it.
Yeah, so now let's look at that lower price point. For someone who may be a first-time home buyer, maybe they have some student loan debt or they have some debt weighing down on them. They're thinking, well, maybe it's time to save up some cash, work on my credit, get all that done to potentially get in a higher priced home later on. What would you have to say to them about building wealth within real estate through a first home?
Your first home's not going to be your dream home, plain and simple, unless mommy and daddy are wealthy and give you what you want, which is not the case for the majority of us in life. You got to start somewhere. Now, maybe you sold some cryptocurrency for billions of dollars or whatever, and you can afford to jump right into the luxury market. That's not the norm. So for most people, as you look in the Beaverton area, under $200,000, they're still going for over 7.5% over asking. So you're getting super competitive in that market underneath $300,000. So don't wait is my advice to people, because you want to get in and take advantage of that equity. Historically, since economists have been keeping track of all of this stuff, real estate has returned 4% year over year. Now, it got there in the peaks and valleys. As we saw the last couple of years, it may be up 17%. And those of us that remember going through the recession in '09, in March of '09, when things absolutely hit rock bottom, it was down 50%. But historically, you average all that out, it's 4% year over year. And real estate's also one of the most tax advantaged assets you can own. And so I say don't wait. Get into something, whether it be a condo, a townhouse. If you can't afford a single family detached home, that's okay. There's still some other options.
Yeah, just start building equity, get your foot in the door, and hey, you may even leave an investment trail down the road, rent it out when you want to move on from your first home. Brings me back to the story of our recent closing up there in Cowlitz County, where our buyer only put in $16,000 in total down payment, closing costs, and he was able to buy it $41,000 under the appraisal price. Just shows there's still quite a bit of opportunity in the market, even though it is a tight market.
It is, and 41% is pretty phenomenal. Under appraisal, no matter what market we're in. I don't think that's the norm, but that's a fantastic story, because the guy made how much money? What does that 41% equate to?
It was $41,000.
$41,000. My bad. Sorry.
He only put in $16,000, so that's 156% return on his money. That's pretty incredible. Obviously not typical.
Forget cryptocurrency. No kidding.
Obviously not typical in our market. And one thing I would say with that opportunity that we were able to get him into, he acted quick. It was on the market for a day. I said, hey, this property just came up in your parameters. Let's go look at it. And we went up there and put an offer in that night.
And I think that's the lesson, is be ready, willing, and able to do it. And he was pre-approved. He listened to you. He listened to his agent, and he jumped. And he and his fiance got into a great place, made some fantastic money even before closing. Again, not the norm. We can't promise that. I wish we could.
That'd be amazing.
Own the entire real estate market, but we can't promise that. But he got in at a great time, and that guy is basically set up from day one to to have that as an investment property and buy something else, or go buy another property right now. I mean, he could easily do that with that kind of money.
Yeah, in 6 months, he could always either take some of that equity and get into another home, leave that one as a rental. He could just completely sell it and get rid of it. He could use it for another business opportunity. There's so many different avenues you can use your equity in, that the opportunities are really endless once you have that equity in your home.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that I know you and I both talk to clients about is your first home may not be your dream home. However, it really is the gateway to building either your real estate empire, as you said, paying off those student loan debts, paying off whatever you want to do with that cash in the future. Leave it to your kids, start a business, but getting your foot in the door to have that tax advantage treatment is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, it's great. And really, with all of this to say, if you as a listener have a situation that you have questions about, whether you're looking to buy, sell, what you can get, what you can do to get in a position where you can buy or sell, feel free to reach out. Mike gave his email to start, mike@tannerrealtygroup.com or austin@tannerrealtygroup.com. Feel free to reach out anytime. We'd love to be able to answer any questions you have, and just be on your side. It's really important to have agents that have your best interest in mind and can get you highest market dollar for your home or get you into a home in the best situation possible.
Absolutely. Whether it's new construction, resale, whatever, you need representation. We'd be happy to help you out on the buy side. On the sell side, you need somebody in your corner that knows the market stats. You need somebody in your corner that's going to have an incredible marketing plan, and you should interview multiple realtors. If you talk to a realtor and they don't have a marketing plan that they can just give to you right away, whether verbally, written, whatever, run away. Don't use them because they're just not going to get you top dollar for your place.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to the first podcast here. Our goal is to be able to continue to bring great information to you through a podcast method.